Late nighttime reading of classic poems. I love to do it. I'm a voice actor. When I'm not filling orders, I'm reading classic literature. So I like connecting with people that also like classic literature. And if you're just such a person, why, this is the place for you. So tonight we're going to start with a little Emily Dickinson. So let's get to it. I like to make little espresso cups in my pottery wheel, and I got a little kiln and stuff. So that's what this is. I made that. It's fun to drink out of your own, something that you made yourself, or eat off of a table like that you built. Oh, it's something satisfying about that. Okay, this is Emily Dickinson. The sky is low. The clouds are mean. A traveling flake of snow across a barn or through a rut debates if it will go. A narrow wind complains all day how someone treated him. Nature, like us, is sometimes caught without her diadem. Excuse me. Shall I take thee, the poet said, to the propounded word, be stationed with the candidates till I have finer tried. The poet searched philology and was about to ring for the suspended candidate. There came unsummoned in that portion of the vision, the word applied to fill, not unto nomination, the cherubim reveal. Emily Dickinson. Hope is a subtle glutton. He feeds upon the fair, and yet, inspected closely, what abstinence is there? His is the Halcyon something table that never seats but one, and whatsoever is consumed, the same amount remain. Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but just ourselves and immortality. We slowly drove, he knew no haste, and I had put away my labor and my leisure too, for his civility. We passed the school where children strove at recess in the ring. We passed the fields of gazing grain. We passed the setting sun, or rather he passed us. The dews drew quivering and chill, for only gossamer my gown, my tippet only tulle. We passed before a house that seemed a swelling of the ground. The roof was scarcely visible, the cornice in the ground. Since then, 'tis centuries, and yet feels shorter than the day I first surmised the horses' heads were toward eternity. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. Surgeons must be careful when they take the knife. Underneath their fine incisions stirs the culprit, life. It's very short, very sweet. All right, this one is Alfred Lord Tennyson. We read one of his last night. This one is called Ulysses. Ulysses by Alfred Lord Tennyson. It little profits that an idle king, by this still hearth among these barren crags, Matched with an aged wife, I mete and dole unequal laws unto a savage race that hoard and sleep and feed and know not me. I cannot rest from travel. I will drink life to the lees. All times I have enjoyed greatly, have suffered greatly, both with those that love me and alone, on shore and when through scudding drifts the rainy Hyades vex the dim sea. I am become a name, for always roaming with a hungry heart. Much have I seen and known, cities of men and manners, climates, councils, governments, myself not least, but horror of them all, in drunk delight of battle with my peers, far on the ringing plains of windy Troy. I am part of all that I have met, yet all experience is an arch wherethrough gleams that untraveled world whose margin fades forever and ever when I move. How dull it is to pause, to make an end, to rust unburnished, not to shine in use, as though to breathe were life, life piled on life were all too little, and of one to me little remains. But every hour is saved from that eternal silence, something more, a bringer of new things, and vile it were for some 3 suns to store and hoard myself, and this gray spirit, yearning and desire to follow knowledge like a sinking star, beyond the utmost bound of human thought. This is my son, mine own son, Telemachus, to whom I leave the scepter and the isle, well loved of me, discerning to fulfill this labor by slow prudence, to make mild a rugged people, and through soft degrees subdue them to the useful and the good. Most blameless is he, centered in the sphere of common duties, decent not to fail in offices of tenderness, and pay meet adoration to my household gods when I am gone. He works his work, I mine. There lies the port, the vessel puffs her sail. There gloom the dark broad seas. My mariners, souls that have toiled and wrought and thought with me, that ever with a frolic welcome took the thunder and the sunshine, and opposed free hearts, free foreheads. You and I are old. Old age hath yet his honor and his toil. Death closes all, but something ere the end, some work of noble note may yet be done, not unbecoming men that strove with gods. The lights begin to twinkle from the rocks. The long day wanes. The slow moon climbs. The deep moans round with many voices. Come, my friends, 'tis not too late to seek a newer world. Push off and sitting well in order, spite the sounding furrows, for my purpose holds to sail beyond the sunset and the baths of all the western stars until I die. It may be that the gulfs will wash us down. It may be we shall touch the happy isles and see the great Achilles whom we knew. Though much is taken, much abides. And though we are not now that strength which in old days moved earth and heaven, that which we are, one equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. It is, excuse me, Ulysses by Alfred Lord Tennyson. This one is by John Keats. Bright Star. Bright star, would I were steadfast as thou art, not in lone splendor hung aloft the night, and watching with eternal lids apart, like nature's patient, sleepless eremite, the moving waters at their priest-like task of pure ablution round earth's human shores, or gazing on this new soft fallen mask of snow upon the mountains and the moors. No, yet still steadfast, still unchangeable, pillowed upon my fair love's ripening breast, to feel forever its soft fall and swell, awake forever in a sweet unrest, still, still to hear her tender taken breath, and so live forever, or else swoon to death. La Belle Dame Sans Merci by John Keats. Oh, what can ail thee, knight at arms, alone and palely loitering? The sedge has weathered from the lake, and no birds sing. Oh, what can ail thee, knight at arms, so haggard and so woebegone? The squirrel's granary is full, and the harvest's done. I see a lily on thy brow, with anguish moist and fever dew, and on thy cheeks a fading rose fast withereth too. I met a lady in the meads, full beautiful, a fairy's child. Her hair was long, her foot was light, and her eyes were wild. I set her on my pacing steed, and nothing else saw all day long. For sidelong she would, I missed a verse. I made a garland for her head, and bracelets too, and fragrant zone. She looked at me as she did love, and made sweet moan. I set her on my pacing steed, and nothing else saw all day long. For sidelong she would bend and sing a fairy's song. She found me roots of relish sweet, and honey wild, and manna dew, and sure in language strange she said, I love thee true. She took me to her elfin grot, and there she wept, and sighed full sore, and there I shut her wild, wild eyes with kisses four. And there she lulled me asleep, and there I dreamed, ah, woe betide, the latest dream I ever dreamed on the cold hillside. I saw pale kings and princes too, pale warriors, death pale were they all. They cried, La Belle Dame Sans Merci hath thee in thrall. I saw their starved lips in the gloam, with horrid warning gaped wide, and I awoke and found me there on the cold hillside. And this is why I journey here, alone and palely loitering, though the sedge is withered from the lake, and no birds sing. So we've done Emily Dickinson, Lord Tennyson, and Keats, John Keats. Well done. Excuse me, William Wordsworth. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft, when on my couch I lie in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. Elsa, good morning in Finland. It's actually morning here too. Early morning. I usually don't go to bed till pretty early in the morning. So what I'm doing here, I'm recording through. You're hearing me just through the cell phone speaker. I'm recording into this good microphone, recording it, and then what I do is take the poetry and make audiobooks and stuff for my YouTube channel. So that way I can do a live, interact with friends, and then take it and then post it. So I kind of double up, if you know what I'm saying. 9 a.m. the sun won't rise for half. That's interesting. That's interesting. That's got to be tough for it to be dark that late in the day. Here is a short William Wordsworth poem called My Heart Leaps Up. My heart leaps up when I behold a rainbow in the sky. So was it when my life began. So is it now that I'm a man. So be it when I shall grow old, or let me die. The child is father of the man, and I could wish my days to be bound each to each by natural piety. William Blake, Laughing Song. When the green woods laugh with the voice of joy, and the dimpling stream runs laughing by, when the air does laugh with our merry wit, and the green hill laughs with the noise of it, when the meadows laugh with lively green, and the grasshopper laughs in the merry scene, when Mary and Susan and Emily with their sweet round mouths sing ha ha he, when the painted birds laugh in the shade, where our table with cherries and nuts is spread, come live and be merry and join with me to sing the sweet chorus of ha ha he. William Blake, Laughing. Here's one, Robert Frost. This is for a good friend of mine lost her mother, and this is one of her mom's favorite poems. So I wanted to read that. The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both and be one traveler. Long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Yeah, that is called The Road Not Taken by the American poet Robert Frost. And it's from the early 19th or early 1900s, 1914, 19 to 1920, somewhere in there. Be a very well-known poem. Let's see, there's another one. This is another one by the same poet, Robert Frost, that is also very well known. You've probably heard. If you may know it, but if you don't, I'm sure you've heard lines from it. Stopping by woods on a snowy evening. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there's some mistake. The only other sound's the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. And then a very short one, same author, Robert Frost, called Fire and Ice. Some say the world will end in fire. Some say in ice. From what I've tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction, ice is also great and would suffice. This is from a Welsh poet called Dylan Thomas. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should rage and burn at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Though wise men at their end know dark is right, because their words had forked no lightning, they do not go gentle into that good night. Good men, the last wave by, crying how bright their frail deeds might have danced in a green bay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Wild men who caught and sang the sun in flight, and learned too late they grieve it on its way. Do not go gentle into that good night. Grave men, near death, who see with blinding sight. Blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. And you, my father, there on the sad height, curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Dylan Thomas, do not go gentle into that good night. So you got time for another couple, I believe. This is from William Shakespeare's King Richard II. Let's talk of graves, of worms and epitaphs. Make dust our paper, and with rainy eyes write sorrow on the bosom of the earth. Let's choose executors and talk of wills, and yet not so. For what can we bequeath save our own deposed bodies to the ground? Our lands, our lives, and all are Bolingbroke's, and nothing can we call our own but death, and that small model of the barren earth which serves as paste and cover to our bones. For God's sake, let us sit upon the ground and tell sad stories of the death of kings, how some have been deposed, some slain in war, some haunted by the ghost they have deposed, some poisoned by their wives, some sleeping killed, all murdered. For within the hollow crown that rounds the mortal temples of a king keeps death his court, and there the antic sits, scoffing his state and grinning at his pomp, allowing him a breath, a little scene, to monarchize, be feared, and kill with looks, infusing him with self and vain conceit, as if this flesh, which walls about our life, were brass impregnable, and humored thus, comes at the last, and with a little pin bores through his castle, and farewell, king. This one is from As You Like It, and a guy called Jacques. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms. Then the whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face, creeping like snail unwillingly to school. And then the lover, sighing like furnace with a woeful ballad made to his mistress' eyebrow. Then a soldier, full of strange oaths and bearded like the pard, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation even in the cannon's mouth. And then the justice, in fair round belly with good capon lined, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances, and so he plays his part. The 6th age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose well saved, a world too wide for his shrunk shank, and his big manly voice turning again toward childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all that ends this strange, eventful history is second childishness and mere oblivion. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything. This one is from Shakespeare's The Tempest, and it's delivered by the character Prospero. Our revels now are ended. These our actors, as I foretold you, were all spirits, and are melted into air, into thin air. And like the baseless fabric of this vision, the cloud-capped towers, the gorgeous palaces, the solemn temples, the great globe itself, yea, all which it inherit shall dissolve, and like this insubstantial pageant faded, leave not a wreck behind. We are such stuff as dreams are made on, and our little life is rounded with a sleep. Let's see, here's maybe a, whoops. Here is a sonnet 19. Devouring time, blunt thou the lion's paws, and make the earth devour her own sweet brood. Pluck the keen teeth from the fierce tiger's jaws, and burn the long-lived phoenix in her blood. Make glad and sorry seasons as thou fleest, and do whate'er thou wilt, swift-footed time, to the wide world and all her fading sweets. But I forbid thee one most heinous crime. O carve not with thy hours my love's fair brow, nor draw no lines there with thine antique pen. Him in thy course untainted do allow for beauty's pattern to succeeding men. Yet do thy worst, old time. Despite thy wrong, my love shall in my verse ever live young. Very nice, very nice. All right, we've done William Blake, we've done John Keats, we've done Lord Tennyson, we have done Emily Dickinson. We've done Milton. Let's do a quick Milton. I really like, there's one called On Time. I always think it's interesting, like just thoughts on time and the passage of time and that sort of thing. It's always kind of fascinating. Time is one of those things like the sea. It's like, it doesn't matter what you think about it. You can measure it, you can, whatever, but you can't stop it. Here we go. On Time by John Milton. Fly, envious time, till thou run out thy race. Call on the lazy, leaden-stepping hours, whose speed is but the heavy plummet's pace, and glut thyself with what thy womb devours, which is no more than that what is false and vain, and merely mortal dross. So little is our loss, so little is thy gain. For whenas each thing bad thou hast entombed, and last of all thy greedy self consumed, then long eternity shall greet our bliss with an individual kiss, and joy shall overtake us as a flood, when everything that is sincerely good and perfectly divine, with truth and peace and love shall ever shine about the supreme throne of him to whose happy making sight alone, when once our heavenly guided soul shall climb, then all this earthly grossness quit, attired with stars, we shall ever sit, triumphing over death and chance and thee, O time. That's good. Thank you very much for watching, whether you're live or catching the replay. Thank you for spending some time with me and reading some poetry. If you're not subscribed, I hope you will be, and I hope I will see you back here next time. Elsa, thank you for joining. I hope the sun comes up, warms everything up a little bit, and that you have a great day. And thank you very much for listening. I'll see you next time.